What's going on, everybody? It's been a long time since I uploaded a video, but I'm gonna start getting back to the groove of things since I finally settled down to my spot and moved in and got everything a little situated. So now I'm trying to get back into schedule and start uploading a couple of videos a week. So today I'm going to be talking about my post-patch Granblue versus tier list. Uh, there's been a lot of tier lists going around. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my personal tier list, where I had a lot of differences than most players. Particularly talking about like Percival and Gran. Um, Usually people will put Percival in A tier and like Gran as S, but I have a particular reason that I put Percival as S and put Gran as A. Just little differences, but I'm going to make another video about it later on about why the S tier, why I have Percival S tier and like Gran is A, but like Gran could kind of like be S as well. But like there's a couple of things that I'm going to get into that later on in the video and in a different video as well. So let's just talk about the tier list today. So as you can see, this is no order, by the way. But if you want my opinion on the order, I would say Ferry's number one, Lance number two, Catalina's number three, and Percival's number four. But generally this is no order. But that's my personal order. The rest really doesn't matter. So there you have it. I really think these characters are, like I said, I think the balance is really good, and these characters are like kind of like similar in strength. Just the way they play is a little different, but they kind of play the same game. But the archetypes are generally the same, and yeah, I really think this balance for this game is really good. As far as like, this is the first Arxis game, right? So that's really good. First Arxis game with Granblue, so I think that's pretty good. So usually games from Arxis, their first patch or their first game be like really really broken. So I think they did a good job with this game in particular. So yeah, so to talk about why these characters are placed, let's start with Luane. I really think Luane's strategy and just structure of how to play the character, how you supposed to play the character is just it's really like snowball, but it's not like a good snowball because for you to get like your biggest strength, right, you have to be losing. You have to have a 30% life, and I feel like if you're fighting a very smart player, and they know that, they will try to like get you near 30% and then like kill you before you even get a chance to like bring out Yigi. So I think it's really obvious that like he has a lot of weaknesses, right? And I feel like he only has like one like really good neutral special like that he could go into that's like really solid, and that's like the slashes, right? I don't really think it's really good outside of that. It's really unsafe, you know. The mileage really kicks in when he has you in the corner. So I don't know. It just feels really rough to like really really like put him higher than what I put him. As far as everything else. But I think in the patch, if when it does come out, I think he's the character that everyone should look out for. Depending on the changes, right? He can only go up. He can't get worse than D, right? So generally, matchup cheat sheets is not really the greatest. He could beat some characters above him, but it's just not enough. It's still really hard, his parry, I thought his parry is really good, but like, there's so many ways to like get around it. It's not really as strong as I thought. Literally, I feel like the only thing really going well for him is like his super in the awakening mode. So that's not enough, right? Let's talk about Matera. So Matera, I think Matera's good. Even though she's B tier, I think she's really good. I wouldn't even say she's a lower end of B. I think she's like really good. I just think she's really hard to play, and I think it really takes a really disciplined player to like really shows the strength of this character. So I don't think she's like unplayable. I think she's very playable. You know, she doesn't have a lot of ways to like knock you down like efficiently unless she burns like EX. But I think that's okay, right? I think that's okay. So um, I think her biggest strength, really, in my opinion, is like the traps that she could play. It's so good, and like I feel like her buttons are really good too. So I think if you're really good at like setting traps and like knowing the situation before it happens, I think this character could really show some like big progress in the meta and even when the patch comes out, right? I still think her archetype is just like very it's very good. It's very unique too, and I'm looking forward to seeing the development of like the players come up with and stuff like that, especially after the patch. Vasaraga, I think Vasaraga is it's in a pretty weird place, and although I think he's good, I also think he has some really unfortunate things that he can't do that really makes it really hard for me to like justify like if he's like stable or not, right? There are some things that is very stable, and quite a few things that are very unstable. And I will talk about the fact that he can't get into armor so easily. I think it's really big weakness. If you could look at like Percival, or like you look at like what's another character? Catalina, like all. If you notice, like all those characters, they get all like cancel into like their unique. Most characters can cancel into their unique, right? I think every character in the game can cancel to their unique, which is crazy. Uh, and that alone is like really good. Um, it, in my opinion, I think having that is like really important, right? Um, Everyone can do that. Like everyone can cancel to their unique, and then they can also cancel into like other things that makes them really strong. But then meanwhile, Vasaraga can't really do that, right? And he has to go into like an unsafe string, like the stomps, right? The walk. He has to go into a lot of unsafe things that has a lot of answers in the game. Uh, the game has a lot of answers for. So it's really hard for me to like really say like he is stable. It's really unstable. I feel like out of all the B tier characters, I think he's the most unstable, in my opinion. What really keeps him up here is like the consistency of like damaging off like anti-air, for example. I think consistent anti-air damage is really good. I think his command grab is one of the best, in my opinion. Excuse me. I think his command grab is one of the best in the game. So I think having that is really good. Um, Air command grab is really solid. Other than that, I think he's just like pretty mediocre in a lot of areas, you know. So I'm looking forward to see what the changes happens for him as well. Hopefully he don't get anything crazy, you know, like because we don't want Vasaragas walking around and you know literally just destroying the whole game, you know. But let me know if I missed anything about the character. As far as Zeta, I think Zeta is good too. I think the reason why I put her so low is only there's only one thing I put her low. Is I feel like everything goes for her to like really get her get going and get started. I feel like she always have to do like the EX thrust, right? And you know, mid screen it's not really that damaging, right? It stops the momentum, and the mix up afterward is not that strong, but it's not bad either. But I feel like her using that EX skill like all the time, it's too like it's too volatile, if that makes sense. Like it's too risky to like bet every single time that this EX is going to like give me a lot of reward. Like if you see characters like Gran burn EX, the chances are like if it hits, you're dead, right? If you see like Ladiva burn EX, chances are you're gonna die, right? If you see Charlotta burn EX, like if you compare all the other characters' EXs and then you compare hers, it's like, well, yeah, she burnt it, but then now what, right? She has to kind of like, kind of have to like be very greedy, And I don't know if greed play is always going to be the best answer for every matchup that she plays. So I think that's really unfortunate. As far as it's supposed to be 4 characters here. I forgot to put Beelzebub here. So Beelzebub, I would consider him B as well. I think Beelzebub is pretty average. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's too great either. So Beelzebub, I would say, like, I really like him versus the characters, honestly, in the role where he's supposed to be in, which is B. I really like those matchups a lot. As far as like everyone else, I think he does well against like Ladiva and stuff like that. He's kind of like a true zoner, I feel. But I feel like what holds him back is him. He don't really have a lot of like true strings, so it's really hard to like always keep your opponent out all the time when you don't have like true strings, because most characters in the game have a reversal or like a spot dodge. So like it doesn't really help that like the universal mechanics is really strong against his strings and his game plan, and also characters with Dragon Punch is really good too. I want to say his biggest strength, in my opinion, is characters that don't really have like the best mobility. I feel like he's really good at like keeping them at bay, very well. If it's easy to hit you, I feel like he has a good time dealing with that character. So I think like Ladiva, Vasaraga, I think Zeta he does pretty okay with. I think Matera he does pretty okay against him as well, against her as well. And Luane, I think he does pretty good against Luane as well. But as far as like everyone else, I think Charlotta's rough. Gran's really rough. Percival's really, really bad. Catalina's really, really bad. Lancelot's really, really bad. And Ferry is I think Ferry is like okay, but it's not like a good okay. It's like this is bad, but I'm okay with this bad, right? You know what I'm saying? So like pretty interesting character, but I would rate him as B as well. So that's my take on that one. And the next character, since the other character is not on there too, I'll talk about Naya. I think Naya is pretty good, but she has a lot of flaws, right? I think she has a lot of flaws as an A tier character, but I think she's still pretty good. The fact that she has 8 skills alone, or 6-7 skills alone, is pretty good. To be able to change at will like that, it's like really, really good. And you really have to keep in mind of like how much skill cooldown she has, right? Because you never know what's coming. She has a lot of like cool tricks and stuff like that. But I feel like she's a lot of smoke and mirrors and stuff like that. Like when I see a lot of the Narmaya's play, they get away with a lot of stuff, right? But I think it's more of like unfamiliarity more than just like anything else. So like if you're unfamiliar with how she plays, I feel like she's really overwhelming. But I feel like if you are very familiar how she plays, I feel like she's very underwhelming in a lot of matchups. So I don't really feel that she brings a lot to the table, but she also has a lot of stuff that is really good also. And like I said, the fact that she could change stances at will is really good. I feel like when she has super, her damage is really high. You have to be really, really careful because she can explode you at any time. So I think that's really, really good, in my opinion. And her matchup spread is actually not as bad. It's not really bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So I think she's in A tier, Narmaya. So that's what I would place her as well. I don't know why I didn't put those 2 characters in there. But as far as that, let's talk about Ladiva. I think Ladiva, she is in a very good spot as a grappler. There's not a lot of grapplers that are like true grapplers, and I feel like this this character, she's like the truest grappler that you can get in a very long time. Not a lot of grapplers. Not grapplers nowadays. Like when they come out, they have a lot of like big flaws, right? And one of the biggest flaws is like, when they command grab you and they finally get in, sometimes the command grab will send them full screen, right? And that's not really what a grappler player wants, right? They want to kind of get in the mud and kind of like knock you down and like try to get you and put you in these scary situations, right? Uh, this character, quality of life, don't even have to spend an EX meter to get a setup off of a command grab. I think alone that is really strong. The fact that you don't have to burn EX to get a hard knockdown. So like once you're in, you're able to just stay in, right? And I think that's really, really good. And on top of all of that, the fact that she can play footsies with you is really scary too. Her 5M, her 2M, her 5H, her 5L, her 4L is actually really, really good. One of the things that she could do is like counter poke you from like mid screen and go into super into a raw damage. And I think alone that is really good for a grappler. However, I feel like her biggest issue right now is her matchup spread. Her matchup spread, I feel like, is really, really horrible. But the way how this game is, I feel like no matter how bad it is, you're able to get that one chance and make it count. Make it even. So I feel like she's in a good spot despite having bad matchups. So I put her as A tier. Damage is really high as well. Charlotta. I think Charlotta is really good too. I don't think she necessarily like win win-matchups all the time, but I feel like her explosiveness like really, really keep her up there. And the ease of use, how easy she is of like getting rewarded off like a lot of her things and a lot of her pressure string is really strong too. Like she has a really, really good, great frame data for her character, and I think that alone is really good. I would say her biggest flaws is like dealing with fireballs and stuff like that. It's like pretty annoying. But she has a universal mechanic. But even though the universal mechanic allows you to get over fireballs or evade fireballs, it's still a risk, right? So she still has to kind of take risks and stuff like that. So I think she's in a pretty okay spot. I feel like she's one of the few characters that will only get like nerfed. Probably some quality of life buffs, but I think more nerfs. I think, speaking of that, I think Narmaya is going to get like a really, really good changes. So I think like playing her and investing her until the patch comes out is like pretty strong right now. I think that's a really smart move. As far as Ladiva is actually a 50-50 as well because grapplers tend to always be good for only one patch. So got to be careful, right? But I think I think Arc System know what they're doing. They had Tager, Potemkin, and those grapplers were pretty good. Rev 2 Potemkin, even though he wasn't really that strong, they still gave him good changes that made him still pretty good. Just wasn't strong enough, right? Because everybody else is really good. But this game, the balance is so close that it's really hard to say this character is absolute terrible unless you play the brothers. I'm sorry. But as far as that, let's talk about Gran. I think Gran is really, really good. Really, really good. Very, very strong character. Well-rounded. Can get dirty. Can play zoning. Really good. Great normals. Great plus frames. All of the above. I think he's like super strong. The only reason why I put him as A tier is I feel like out of all the characters above him, I feel like he has the least like really, really great matchup spread. Meaning like I feel like he does good against all these characters, right? But it's not on the same length as like, if you put Lancelot in front of him, how well is it, right? I feel like his matchup spreadsheet is not as strong as the characters in S tier, but I also think he's still good. And I think like if you ask my personal opinion, I think what really carries him a lot is damage. I think if they tone his damage down a little bit, I think it'll be a little bit more rougher to win with this character. Believe it or not. But other than that, I think overall, like I still think he's very good, but he's just a little bit more harder to win with in terms of like the matchups, right? If we're gonna talk about like you know how this matchup plays, like I feel like he has more vulnerable matchups. That's why I put him as A, but they're still winnable, and he's still very strong. And that doesn't mean like he can't win with the S tier characters. I don't think none, I think all of the A tier characters could also bang with some of the S tier characters, but it's really rough, right? So that's my take on that, which is why I put him on A. But yeah, he has consistent damage, great fireballs, great special moves, great DP, great normals. One of the best sweeps in the game. I think he has one of the best sweeps. Um, Damage is really high. Can always lead into like a lot of good setups. Sweep into like jump U. That is a true setup. It's really scary to deal with. So yeah, playing Gran, he's in a good spot. I feel like he can only. I feel like he can only stay at A. Uh, like in terms of like if the patch will drop and stuff like that, where will everything go? I think he's gonna stay around the A tier wise. I don't think he can go lower than that unless they really change his archetype. So hopefully they actually flesh out and give a good balance. But I believe in Arxis. Arxis is really smart at how they balance it. So let's talk about the S tier. Let's talk about Percival, right? Percival, really strong character. Start off really slow, but it's like very strong, like mid to late game. Really good. I would say his matchup sheet is very strong. Has a command grab. I think his command grab is one of the best command grabs too. I would say it's like super super strong. It's like Vasaraga's or Lativa's, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. It gets the job done. If you need stocks, command grab is always there. His damage is always consistent. I feel like his damage is one of the most consistent. It's like consistent 3K anytime, any hit if you confirm properly. I feel like he just has a higher skill gap than the most of the Shotos in this game. But as far as like his toolkit, I think he's really strong. And I feel like if you really want to take him to the next level, you really have to be very disciplined because he has a lot of freedom, but you have to play by the rules a lot to get that freedom. But in my opinion, I think it would teach you a lot as a player, how to be disciplined, playing, in matches and sets and stuff like that. Like it will really, really get you ready and the high skill gap, right? Like to break the barrier of like, oh man, I feel like I plateaued and stuff like that, and like he will break you through these like issues that you have because you have to be so creative and neutral to try to get like your stocks. And I think that's what's cool about him, right? He's a resource management character and stuff like that, and he gets the job done really good if you know how to hit confirm really well. He will teach you reactions a lot too. So like I think he's a really good character overall to like learn. If you really want to learn like a technical Shoto, if you're like bored with like Gran and Catalina, I feel like he's a good character to really learn. But as far as that, I think his matchup sheet is really great. I don't really think he loses to any other characters below him. Actually, I think he does. I think he beats all these characters except for, I would say except for like Zeta. I think he goes even with Zeta slightly. But I think his matchup sheet against everybody else is like really really good. I think he beats Matera. I think he beats Vasaraga. I think he beats Wayne. I think he beats Ladiva, Charlotta, and I think he beats Gran too. So I think his matchup sheet against everybody else above him is really good. So that means that he's able to like play his game most of the time, and that's really strong. So that's why I put him up there. As far as Catalina, I think Catalina also his matchup sheet against the S tier characters. I think they all are even. So but it's rough, right? Because it's one of those even matchups where you have to kind of play their game, and not kind of like yours until like you're winning. When you're winning, then you're able to play that game, right? But when you're losing, you're never really playing that. Even in neutral, you're not necessarily playing the game unless you're playing like Lancelot and Catalina. But Ferry, you definitely cannot play your game in Brown Start. So you have to really, really be disciplined against that character. As far as Catalina, I think Catalina S tier, well-rounded, super strong. You know, she's so straightforward, and it's really good. It's really good. What's really good about her is she's able to just play so solid, such a wall character, and like she is very, very extremely consistent. And she's way more consistent than Percival because she's able to like always do it at the time that she needs it. Where Percival, oh, I kind of need stocks here, and there, right? So like you have to kind of manage a little bit more. But her, she's always getting the job done, and she's so solid at it, right? And her damage is like outrageous, really high. So she really punishes you for making mistakes. So if you really like playing that type of style, she's a really great character for that. And I feel like her matchup sheet is like really, really high too. I think it's the second best. As far as like their matchup sheet, or third base, I would say third best is pretty good. But really good character to start off with. She teaches you the game, and she teaches you a lot about like footsies and stuff like that. So that's really good. Lancelot. So Lancelot, really, really strong. He is playing a different game than most of the characters. So like you really have to kind of play a different type of play style fighting this character. This character is doable to fight. It's not impossible to fight, but it requires a lot of like really optimal strategy to fight him. And you really have to be really, really like on point. You can't really make mistakes with this character, against this character. And you really have to kind of like be aware of like all his skills, especially the teleport. But overall, I think he's the second best character in the game also. And the reason why I think he's the second and Ferry's the first, where if you just put them on the both, even if you compare them, they're both playing a whole different game, and everyone else has to play it. So that alone tells you a lot. That like, wow, they're just like it's just like a whole new game, right? Like imagine if you load up like Guilty Gear or like BlazBlue, and then like you select like Lychee Fei Ling, and then the other person would be like, oh, I'm playing Gundam Fate Zero. I'm like, whoa, who is this? Like, how do you get Fate Zero and Gundam in this game, right? And they're just like in this mobile suit, you know, and it's just like, you know, they're just shooting you up. And you're just like, wow, it's not the game that, you know, I thought I was playing, right? So it's just a whole different game. They just dive in, and they kind of just do whatever they want to do, right? And it's really up to you to really control that. You have to really control it. So his matchup sheet is one of the best. It's one of the best. It's the best, I want to say. Consistent damage. It's not high, but he hits you a lot constantly. But what makes him scary is I feel like his comeback factor damage is really high. So like when I feel like he's low and he gets like one good counter hit, he does a lot of damage. But outside of that, I feel like his damage is really low. You know, really consistent. He loops you, and I wouldn't say his set play is like super strong, but I feel like the jump U is like really good because it's so fast, right? And it's so fast, and it can control a lot of the air game, right? It's really good. So I would put him. That's why I put him as S tier. Very, very good normals too. He's really good normal for a character like his archetype. That's what was also scary. And last but not least, Ferry. I feel like this character is the best in the game. She's a perfect character, well-rounded. She has no weaknesses. She has literally the best normals, the best evasive action to get out of situations. You know, she is always she's never in a bad situation, right? Because all it needs is one good, and like she's back in the game, and that's really scary for a character archetype like hers to like have. You know, one sweep, and like, you know, she summoned Gigi. Gigi is so strong. The fact that Gigi is an initial hit before it drops on the ground is very strong. And it does good damage too. So like it's really, really, really hard to like really like break this character. She's very perfect character. Damage is really high. Has a dragon punch as her archetype. She can just DP whenever she needs to get out of a bad situation. As far as keeping you out, her whip is very confirmable. She has three. I think she has three supers that are all like super strong for every situation. And it's invul. One of them is invul, so like she could just like do the install and like she can invul through your stuff, and that's like really good. You know, like that's really good. I would say that's one of her biggest strengths, and then she can like reverse beat and stuff like that, and like man, she's really good. Everything about her is perfect. Unscaled throw, so if you summon GG and then you throw them, and then the GG goes off, and the combo hits, like it's unscaled damage, you know. So like I feel like any situation she touch you in, she can loop you, and then she could set it up and do it all over again. So I feel like she's a very strong character, and I think she's in a perfect place right now because not a lot of players think she's good, and a lot of players think she's like A plus, and a lot of people overseas also think she's A plus too. So she's in the spot where she can either go high or low. Lancelot, I think he can only go low. Catalina, I think she's gonna be okay, and I think Percival, I think he's gonna be okay as well. So that's all I have to really say about this. So let me know how you guys feel about it. If you guys want to add on your opinions about what I was talking about, feel free to hit the comments and type in, and I'll go over it. We could listen to it and read it and stuff like that. Well, not listen to it, but read it. And I would like to hear you guys' opinions because I really like talking about stuff like this. It's really fun for me. So if you guys also want to just come by, you can check out my Twitch, which is on my on the screen right here, twitch.tv/KizzyK310. I stream 5 days a week, so you guys you could just check it out. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on twitter.com/Kizzy_K310. But yeah, I think that's it for the video today. I'm going to start uploading more constantly. I know I've been MIA for a bit, but I just moved, and I'm just trying to get things in order and stuff like that. But I'm going to start doing it and start talking to you guys more. I want to start doing like weekly updates too on Friday, where I just have like my thoughts and stuff like that, how I look at fighting games and stuff like that, and like what are my mindset when I'm like going in trying to learn something, and maybe it will like open you guys' eyes on things that you guys are having a hard time with. So if you guys really like that type of content, man, please show some love and subscribe to me. I'm going to be trying to stay consistent and upload often. And yeah, guys, I think that's it for the day. I hope you guys really liked the video. I really hope you guys really sit down and like hear out what I have to say about this tier list. And yeah, the patch should be out pretty soon. So yeah, we're gonna be streaming Zeta, not Zeta, but Jetta and Saurus this week. So check out my stream. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.